The eviction notice was actually a birthday card. "Happy 18th birthday, Natalie. Time to spread your wings," it read, with a little hand-drawn bird. Inside, my mother's neat cursive explained that my childhood bedroom would be converted to a home gym by the weekend, so I'd better start packing. "But I'm still in high school," I said, holding the card with trembling hands. "Graduation isn't for 3 months." My father didn't look up from his iPad. "You're legally an adult now. Time to act like one. Your mother needs that room for her wellness journey." Mom nodded, adjusting her new Lululemon headband. "Besides, sweetie, you're so responsible. You'll figure it out. Oh, but don't forget, your family contribution is due on the 1st. Same as always." "My family contribution?" I stared at them. "You're kicking me out but still want me to pay $1,500 a month?" "Don't be dramatic," Mom said, examining her manicure. "It's not rent. It's your share of the family expenses. We still have to eat, keep the lights on. Your brother's college tuition isn't going to pay itself." My brother Dylan, 2 years younger, didn't even have the decency to look guilty. He was sprawled on the leather sectional we'd bought last year, playing his PS5 on the 85-inch TV. "But if I'm not living here..." "Family is forever," Dad interrupted, finally making eye contact. "We raised you for 18 years. Fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head. The least you can do is contribute now that you're working." I'd been working at Romano's restaurant since I was 15, saving every penny for college. That savings account was supposed to be my future. Now it would be my survival. Mrs. Kowalski, my elderly neighbor, found me crying on the front steps that night, surrounded by garbage bags full of my belongings. "They kicked you out? On your birthday?" I nodded, unable to form words. She looked at my parents' house, where every light blazed and music thumped from Dylan's room. "But you still have to pay them?" "Family contribution," I whispered. Her face hardened in a way I'd never seen. "Come. You'll stay with me tonight. Tomorrow we figure this out." That night in Mrs. Kowalski's guest room. A real guest room, not a storage closet with a futon like I'd had since Dylan needed more space. I made a decision. I'd pay their blood money, but I'd also document everything. Every single penny. The first year was hell. I found a rat-infested studio apartment 40 minutes from school, worked doubles at Romano's, and somehow graduated with honors. My parents came to graduation, not to celebrate, but to remind me that the family contribution was increasing to $1,700. "Inflation," Dad explained. "Everything costs more now. Especially Dylan's spring break trip to Cancun." I didn't say out loud. I watched them take photos with Dylan, who'd driven up in the new Camaro they'd bought him for his birthday. My 18th birthday gift had been homelessness. His was a sports car. But I kept paying and documenting. Wire transfer receipts, bank statements, text messages where they demanded money, voicemails threatening to cut me off from the family if I was late, as if being family meant anything more than being their ATM. Year 2, I started community college while working full-time. My parents posted Facebook photos from their kitchen renovation. "So blessed to have such a beautiful home." Mom captioned, "The granite countertops cost exactly what I'd paid them that year." Year 3, I transferred to State University on scholarships. Dylan dropped out of his expensive private college to find himself through Europe. Somehow, the family contribution stayed the same. "Dylan's not working," I pointed out during one of their collection calls. "He's discovering his path," Mom said. "You found yours so easily. Some people need more time." My path, 2 jobs. 5 hours of sleep. Ramen for every meal. But sure, I had it easy. Year 4, something shifted. I was studying accounting, learning about tax law, when certain terms started jumping out at me. Dependent. Head of household. Tax credits. A terrible suspicion crept in. "Hey," I asked Dad during my monthly payment call, "just for my records, you don't still claim me on your taxes, right? Since I haven't lived there in 4 years." The pause was a microsecond too long. "Of course not. Why would you even ask that? Liars tell you too much. Honest people just say no." Year 5, I graduated summa cum laude with my accounting degree. My parents didn't come. Dylan had a lacrosse game. He'd taken up lacrosse that week. I started working at a small CPA firm, finally making enough to live like a human being. But I kept paying the family contribution, now $2,000 a month. And I kept documenting. Then came February. Tax season. My first as an actual accountant. "Natalie," My boss, Mr. Patel, called from his office. Can you help me with something? I'm seeing a weird error in your tax return. My blood froze. What kind of error? System says you've already been claimed as a dependent. But you're 23, living independently. Must be a glitch. It wasn't a glitch. That night, I did what I should have done years ago. I pulled every document, every receipt, every bank statement. 5 years of payments totaling $98,500. 5 years of tax returns where my parents claimed me as a dependent, collecting credits and deductions worth thousands. 5 years of fraud. I made an appointment with the IRS. Not to file my taxes, to report tax fraud. The agent who met with me was a middle-aged woman named Diane Martinez. She had kind eyes that turned sharp as she reviewed my documents. Let me understand, she said, adjusting her glasses. Your parents kicked you out on your 18th birthday, but demanded you keep paying them monthly? Yes. They claimed you as a dependent while you lived independently and paid them what amounts to rent. They called it a family contribution. She studied the wire transfers, the text messages, the timeline I'd created. When she reached the Facebook photos, my parents' vacations, renovations, and Dylan's toys juxtaposed with my bank statements, showing $47 in checking after each payment. Her expression darkened. Miss Thompson, she said finally, this is fascinating. And very illegal. How illegal? They've fraudulently claimed approximately $30,000 in tax benefits over 5 years. They've also potentially committed extortion by threatening to disown you for non-payment while claiming you as a dependent. She leaned back. This could result in criminal charges. I don't want them in jail, I said quickly. I just want it to stop. She smiled grimly. Oh, it'll stop. But they'll need to pay back everything they fraudulently claimed, plus penalties and interest. And you'll be filing amended returns for all 5 years, getting the refunds you were actually owed. How much are we talking? She did quick calculations. They'll owe roughly $45,000 to the IRS. You'll receive approximately $15,000 in refunds. The number made me dizzy. Justice had a price tag, and it was steep. What happens next? We investigate. We'll need to interview them, review their returns. This could take months. She paused. They'll know you reported them. Good, I said, surprising myself with the steel in my voice. I want them to know. The call came 3 weeks later. Not from my parents, from their lawyer. Miss Thompson, I'm representing William and Jennifer Thompson regarding an IRS investigation. They're willing to discuss a family resolution to avoid further complications. Family resolution? I actually laughed. Is that what we're calling it? They're prepared to forgive the outstanding family contributions if you withdraw your complaint. Forgive? The audacity was breathtaking. They want to forgive me for the money I paid while they committed tax fraud. That's a very hostile way to. I hung up. The real call came that night. Mom, hysterical. How could you do this to us? We're your parents. We raised you. You kicked me out at 18 and made me pay you $2,000 a month while claiming me on your taxes. You stole from me twice, once as your child and once from my tax returns. It's not stealing. It's family. No, I said calmly. It's fraud. The IRS explained the difference. Dad grabbed the phone. Natalie, be reasonable. We could lose the house. The house I paid for? The kitchen I renovated? Dylan's car I bought? Don't be dramatic. I have spreadsheets, Dad. I know exactly where my money went. That trip to Hawaii? My December payment. Dylan's gaming setup? My March payment. Mom's spa membership? My January through June payments. Silence. You have 2 choices, I continued. Cooperate with the IRS, pay what you owe, and leave me alone forever. Or fight it and risk criminal charges. I have 5 years of evidence. Every text. Every threat. Every lie. You're destroying this family, Mom wailed in the background. No, I said. You destroyed it the day you put a gym where my bedroom used to be. The investigation took 6 months. 6 months of angry calls I didn't answer, flying monkeys in the form of relatives I blocked, and Dylan showing up at my work to call me selfish until security removed him. But also 6 months of sleeping peacefully, eating real food, and keeping the money I earned. The final settlement was brutal for them. $47,832 owed to the IRS, plus penalties. They had to sell Dylan's car and take out a second mortgage. Dylan had to get a job, 2 actually, just like his selfish sister had. My refunds totaled $16,247. I used part of it to pay off my student loans and the rest to move into a beautiful apartment with actual windows and no rats. I also sent Mrs. Kowalski flowers every month for a year, thanking her for that first night of kindness when I had nowhere to go. The last time I heard from my parents was through another lawyer. They wanted to sue me for emotional distress and destruction of family bonds. Mr. Patel, now my mentor as well as my boss, laughed when I showed him the letter. They want to sue the daughter they made homeless for emotional distress? After committing tax fraud. He wiped his eyes. Frame that. It's comedy gold. I didn't frame it, but I did keep it, filed neatly with all the other documentation. Evidence of the price of freedom. $98,500 paid over 5 years. $16,247 recovered. $82,253 lost forever. But here's what I gained: my dignity, my independence, the knowledge that family isn't who shares your DNA, it's who shares your values. My real family now includes Mrs. Kowalski, who still invites me for Sunday dinner. Mr. Patel, who promoted me twice in 2 years. My friends from college who never once asked me to pay for the privilege of their company. As for my biological family, I check social media occasionally. The house looks the same, just shabbier. Dylan still lives at home at 25. Mom sells essential oils to her friends. Dad's LinkedIn says entrepreneur, which means unemployed. Sometimes I wonder if they ever do the math. If they realize that their fraud cost them not just money, but a daughter who would have moved mountains for parents who loved her. But then I remember that birthday card, the cheerful little bird telling me to spread my wings while they cut them off. They wanted me to fly while keeping me chained to the ground with their demands. Well, I flew anyway. It just took the IRS to break the chains. To anyone reading this who's trapped in a similar situation, document everything. Know your worth. And remember, if they threaten to cut you off from the family, sometimes that's not a threat. Sometimes it's a promise. And sometimes it's the best gift they never meant to give you.